afternoon, good afternoon. It's great to be here, and we have made it. We're nearly there. It's nearly time for drinks at the bar. And to say thank you for still being here in this room for my session, I'll join you all for a drink later. So come and find me for a drink. Now, this afternoon, I'm going to talk to you all about the power of connections. And this talk is going to make the difference whether this trip to Bodrum is a success for your business or not. Because if you make the right connections while you're here in Bodrum, this trip will have been worth the journey. Now, when I talk about connections, you might be sighing and thinking of the following. Maybe you're thinking of a really dull networking meeting where you're meeting with plumbers and electricians in your local area. It's not interesting. Maybe you're thinking about long, pointless conversations where you're just stood there rolling your eyes. Or maybe you're thinking about when people just throw business cards at you, and then you take those business cards home in your bag, and then you put them in the recycle bin. That is not building connections. How about if I told you that building connections is a low-cost marketing strategy that yields very high-quality results? Because that is what it is. If we haven't met yet, my name's Becca POUNTNEY. I've worked in radio and television marketing, and I've spent the last 8 years in the wedding industry teaching wedding professionals and venues just like you all about the power of connections and how to increase your rates and how to market your businesses more effectively. Now, when I was growing up, my dad taught me that life was all about who I knew and not what I knew. And that is a motto that I want each and every one of you to take away from this conference. Today is about who you know, not what you know. Now, when I was growing up, my dream career was to work in television, and everyone told me it's an impossible dream. Very few people make it. But I remembered what my dad taught me. It's about who you know, not what you know. There was a TV show at the time that I loved with Andrew Lloyd Webber, and I wanted to work on that show more than anything. But I had no connections. I knew nobody working on the show. So I watched the show, I paused it, I wrote down the name of everybody on the credits, and I emailed every single one of them the next day and said, hey, I'd love to work on your show. Would you give me 1 day's work experience? Now, 99% of the people ignored me. They probably thought I was a little bit crazy. But one person replied and said yes. And that turned my impossible dream into a reality. And that started for me a very successful career in television and radio. And it was the same when I started working in weddings as a wedding videographer. I wanted to meet people. I knew connections were important, but I knew nobody. And this might be you right now. You might think, I don't really know many people in the wedding industry. But I went out there and I built connections. I arranged events. I messaged people on Facebook. And I've taken those no connections to thousands of connections with wedding suppliers just like you across the world. Well, that's great, Becca. Thanks for telling me your life story. But how does that apply to me and my business today? Well, I want you to be honest with yourselves for a second. When you look at your marketing efforts right now, are you spending your time collecting or connecting? Let me explain what I mean. Most of us are collecting. Okay, we're working really hard to collect clients. We're out there on Instagram, on Facebook, on Pinterest, collecting email addresses, collecting viewers, and it's really hard work. We shoot the arrows and we hope that some of them connect and turn into business. However, what if we spent a little bit more time connecting instead of always collecting? We do this every day without thinking. I connected with some of you out there over lunch, and it was great to meet you. A couple of very powerful connections could transform everything with the bottom line of your business. Now, I want to tell you a very quick story about my little girl. She's 5 years old, and I've been teaching her the same as my dad taught me, that life is all about who you know, not what you know. So whenever we go anywhere, she talks to everyone. She's got my personality, and she will talk to anyone. And recently, we went to the beach, and my kids love these games. I don't know if you have them all across the world, but you have to put the pennies in the machine to try and get out more pennies and prizes. Now, when we went into the arcade, there was this old lady there, and my little girl, who talks to anyone, started up a conversation with this lady. Now, at the same time, we start putting coins into the machine. My daughter wanted the dinosaur. That's all she wanted, the little plastic dinosaur. And so we're collecting coins and putting them in over and over again. That dinosaur's not moving anywhere, and I'm no longer willing to spend money. And just as we were about to walk away, the old lady came over and said, I just won one of these dinosaurs. Does that little girl want it? Because she was so kind to me earlier. That is why connecting is more powerful than collecting. We could have been there all day putting those coins into the machine and got nothing. But that lady made a connection with my daughter and gave her the dinosaur. Okay, this is what most of your marketing looks like right now. Those arrows represent your marketing efforts. Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, you're just trying to hit some clients. Some of the arrows hit, some of the arrows miss. Did you know 92% of consumers believe the recommendations that their friends and family make over all forms of advertising? Just think about this trip now. When I go home and my clients say to me, how was Turkey? What I say to them is going to have more influence than any social media post that any of your hotels put out about Turkey. Because I'm going to say it was the best place in the world, you need to go and visit, and they're much more likely to book. Word of mouth advertising works, so why are we not doing more of it? Now, instead of spending all that time collecting, we need to do some of it. Start connecting with influential people in your industry. I've put a few examples up here. Friends, people you meet on the school run, people you meet at the pub, wherever you spend your time, talk to everyone. They might be a great connection. Other wedding professionals, photographers, cake makers, hair and makeup artists. Wedding venues are super powerful. Do you know the wedding venues in your area? Your competitors, people that do exactly the same thing as you, can be the best people to connect with. Wedding planners, again, super influential. How many friends of yours are wedding planners? If the answer is 0, you need to change that. And of course, past clients. Because if a past client has a great experience, guess what? They're going to tell their friends, their neighbors, their mum, their dad, and they're all going to want to work with you. And all of a sudden, we're no longer shooting arrows because we're going to spheres of influence where we know our ideal customers are already spending their time. So instead of hoping the Instagram post reaches the right person, the wedding venue is mentioning you by name. The wedding planner is mentioning your country or your resort by name. Connections are powerful, and the people you speak to today could change your business. So now, hopefully you don't think connections are boring and stuffy networking meetings. They're a low cost, it costs nothing to talk to me at the bar tonight. Low cost marketing tool that yields very high quality results. So very quickly, how are we going to do it? You're going to research. You can't appeal to everyone. So research the spheres of influence where your customers are spending time. Get to know the places where your clients want to get married, your dream venues, your dream wedding planners. Turn your thinking around. Stop being selfish and think about what you could do for them. If someone comes up to me and says, hey, Becca, heard you have a wedding blog, can you promote me for free? I'd probably go, nah. Sorry, no. However, if you come up to me in the bar tonight and you say, Becca, I love your wedding blog, do you need any help with content? I'm thinking, yeah, I got no time at all. That would be amazing. I've got some amazing photos and a venue review of my venue. I'll happily send it to you if you want to use it on your blog. Guess what I'm going to say now? Yes, please, because it helps me out. So stop thinking about what those connections can do for you. Start thinking about what you can do for those connections. And reach out and be generous with your time and your knowledge. So here's a few practical things you guys could be doing this week. Talk about people on social media. It hardly takes anything to tag someone you meet today on social media, but it puts their business in front of all of your followers, and that's a kind thing to do. Mention them in a blog posting article. You could host your own networking event in your town, in your city, and get people together. You could share your knowledge or contacts with someone in the room that you know you could help. You could offer your services for an event like this. I'll bring some cake for the next one. I'll bring some flowers to help you out. Or even you can work on a commission or referral bonus. Being well connected adds value to your customers as well as to yourself. Now, I spoke at the National Wedding Show in London this year, and here's some of the things that destination brides were telling me. The thing that worries me about getting married abroad is finding trusted wedding professionals out there. The thing that worries them is that they find the venue, they love it, but who's going to make the cake? Who's going to do their hair? Who's going to do their makeup? If you as a venue are well connected, you can put all those things and alleviate their worries. Secondly, I want a wedding professional that's worked at the venue before. Again, if you are a venue or a travel agent and you can connect with professionals in the local area that know that venue, your clients are going to love you for it. So please, please do it. And finally, this one. I love what you do, but you're already booked. Who should I book instead? And this is why you want to be friends with your competitors. Because if you're the most fully booked wedding videographer out there, you want them to say to go to that wedding videographer over there. So even though you do the same things, you can help each other out. Here's finally, before I finish, a couple of examples of how this works with my clients. So on the left, we have Adam. I met Adam at a conference I was speaking to. He's a videographer. He told me he didn't know anyone in the wedding industry. I told him we needed to change that immediately, and now he knew me, person number one. And I was going to help him connect with loads of other professionals. He did everything. He tagged people on Instagram, he messaged them, he went to events, he spoke to and had fun with everyone. Adam is now the most successful booked-up wedding videographer I know, and all of his work comes from word of mouth. Second up, Hannah is a wedding planner. She wanted to work with luxury venues in London. So during COVID, when the wedding planners were quiet, she went and met with coffees with the Ritz-Carlton, the Mandarin Oriental, all the top properties in London. She arranged photo shoots. And guess what? Now she's getting clients at those properties. And finally, I've got Claire Clark. She's a destination wedding planner who specializes in Italian weddings. If you can find a wedding planner to work with in the country where they're selling the weddings, this is priceless. Because she is the specialist Italian destination wedding planner in the UK. So the Italian properties sell through her, and it's incredibly powerful. Connections matter. Connections make the difference to your business and stop you trying to collect and just go ahead and connect. It's been a pleasure. My name's Becca POUNTNEY. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on my podcast, so you can listen to my voice all night, and I hope to see you all at the bar.